Hi, I'm Beth Ann.
What's up? I'm Ayla.
This is Let's Talk BL, a Boys Love podcast.
Welcome back to Series Sunday. We're back. As per usual, today's episode is all about one series and one series only. If you have not watched this series, go watch this series. Believe me when I tell you, you will not regret it because it is my hot jam right now. I am so stoked on this series right now. It's literally all I think about. Today we're talking about Gameboys.
Woohoo!
And Gameboys is the first, in a momentous occasion, the first Filipino BL we will have done a series Sunday for.
Yay! I'm so excited. I have actually started getting into Filipino BLs, and they are so good and so interesting because they bring another culture, another language, another vibe to the table that is all things BL, which we're super into and excited about. So let's start with the facts and then we'll get into synopsis and then do all the gushing because that's what we're going to do.
You know we gush.
We gush.
What's gonna happen.
So Gameboys is available on Netflix. Bless. Makes it so nice and easy.
We love an accessible BL.
We do. It's about 13 episodes. It came out in 2020 by the Idea First Company, which I want to just give a little gush to Idea First Company. They are doing incredible things, and they have done incredible things with this BL to just progress BL culture in the Philippines. And behind the scenes content, all that stuff, so good from the Idea First Company.
The production value, the story, and the way that they just treat and promote particularly this BL, but all of the things that they do. I think that's what's really amazing about it is, especially if you're coming at it from, watching other BL studios and other sort of like BL production companies. Yeah. I really think Idea First is so unique and fresh and just like really on top of the game. So huge shout out.
Yeah, love it. So this stars Cahoy de Santos as Gabriel and Elijah Canlis as Cairo, which, let us warn you now, we are going to gush about these boys.
Oh my goodness.
Their acting is superb and they're just so good.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're going to get into it, but let's do the synopsis first. As usual, here's the synopsis. Here's what you would read before you watch the show. Let's do it. Teenage streamer Cairo is caught off guard when he receives a video call from a new online rival called Gabriel. He is even more surprised when the handsome stranger asks him out. Can two gamers make romance work during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, or will it be game over for their love story? What a solid synopsis. Synopses are so never good. This good. This is a solid synopsis for a solid BL.
Yes. Yes. This story, this plot is so creative and so fresh and so new.
Relatable. Yes. So relatable.
Yeah. It's so current without feeling like they're trying too hard.
Also, I want to address, just like coming right out of the gate, how well it's done for the style that it is shot in. Yeah. So as somebody, I'm coming at this, I actually really love YouTube dramas. So this Same. Is back in the day before web dramas were a thing. You used to be able to like go to YouTube and there would be these like these dramas and series that were created and produced for YouTube, and they were shot in the style of like YouTube vlogs. And so one that I loved the most, I used to watch this like Jane Austen one. It was really, really good. Okay, laugh now, but it's like through it essentially was, I mean, it's like it's like a modern retelling,
right?
Of these Jane Austen stories, and they were really good, and I was so into it because it shot like vlog style like you would see like back in the day on YouTube. I loved that, which means I was primed to love Gameboys, which is the way that it is shot is essentially what's happening right now on this podcast, where you and I are not in the same place because of this crazy world that we live in right now.
Yeah.
And so we're communicating through video conferencing essentially. And that is how this entire BL, with the exception of a few shots, is produced. And the production value and just how well it is executed, because it is not easy to execute that concept and have it make sense and have it feel like you have like a real relationship.
Yeah.
Have them be able to build chemistry when they literally are never physically touching is mind-blowing. I am just like so impressed.
Which speaks to really just this greater idea that you don't need anything necessarily like salacious or you don't need any of that physicality that I think kind of tends to give these kinds of dramas maybe sometimes like a judgment from people who don't watch them. They're like, oh, we know why you're watching them, kind of thing. And this one doesn't have that. And so yes, I will say that this drama was one that like took you a second to get into, because at first you're like, oh, I'm going to be watching them interact on these screens. Like, are they really going to be able to pull it off? Like, is it really going to capture me? Am I really going to be interested? And then there's this moment that you're like, I think it's the moment where one of them really shows a great amount of emotion and you just like feel it. And both of them are just so, they're able to emote with the other person just through a screen. And it is so enjoyable to watch because, again, like you were saying, that chemistry that they have with each other, but also just like them as people to develop these characters is truly incredible.
What's so interesting about it is that I actually had to try and watch this twice, and it didn't stick for me until my second sort of like go around, which is so interesting because when I tell y'all I am like fully obsessed, it is all I think about, it's all I talk about. I am so into Gameboys right now. But it did take me a second. Like I had to do it twice. And for me, that came from I'm not a person that watches gamer streaming.
Oh, right.
Like I'm not on Twitch. That's just like not I don't play those games. I have a Nintendo Switch and I play Pokemon, okay? Like that is my gaming. I literally play Pokemon, Mortal Kombat, and Super Smash Brothers. And those are the games that I play. And that's it. Yeah. By the way, I'm really good at Mortal Kombat. I will destroy you. Nice. But as far as like streaming and those kinds of games, that's just something that I've never been into. Right. And so this BL opens on that, and it was really hard for me to get into because I was like, oh, I don't relate to this. Yeah. This looks like weird to me because it's not my sort of like chosen social interaction, like online social interaction. But once I got over that, really what sold me on Gameboys was Cairo. Well, it was Elijah. Elijah is so incredibly talented, and he made me like Cairo enough that I would stick through this BL like for Cairo alone if I had to. Turns out I don't have to. Once you get into it, like every single character is pretty solid for the most part. But really, it was Cairo. It was Elijah's performance that made me stay. Right. Once and what's interesting is they do take the time in telling this story to make you like Cairo or make you like Gavriel. I feel like no one, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're listening to this, please comment and tell me. But everyone that I've heard from, nobody goes into it liking both boys.
Oh, interesting.
Everybody has a favorite. Nobody's like, oh yeah, I love like Kyriel. I love Kyriel. No.
Yeah,
everyone has a preference. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that because they're two very different characters. And at first, I will say Cairo's character for me, right, is a little off-putting because he's very standoffish, understandably, because of just who he is and what he's going through. Like, hello, his dad's in the hospital. Spoiler alert, his dad dies, which comes out of nowhere. And you're like, is this really happening? But it's, it's true to life. And just like his whole story and his whole character, there are moments where you're like, okay, am I gonna like this boy? Because he's very guarded, and
which also makes sense once you get to like understanding the part of his story where
yeah,
you really get into like what happens to his dad and why he feels responsibility for that, which is that
yeah,
like it came out that he was gay and he like got scared
yeah,
essentially of facing his family.
yep,
And that is what led so his dad went after him. His dad caught the virus and then in a very, very touching and sad moment passes away. And it almost was this like very beautiful tribute to
right,
all of those lives that were lost. It like, I cried, I sobbed, I really
yeah,
did, because it's so relatable. I don't think there's one person that has been left untouched by this pandemic. I personally have had an extended family member pass away. I know friends and colleagues, and it's just like it's a very touching, the way that they handle that I think is really well done, because
yep,
it's more of like a tribute and it's less of a plot point,
oh yeah,
which could have made it feel like cheap that they were using this pandemic as a
totally,
plot point, but
yeah,
they weren't. They did it very, very well. But so all of that sort of culminates in making you understand why Cairo approached the situation with Gavriel the way that he did.
totally, totally. And then you have Gabrielle on the other end being this kind of like independent, rambunctious, free spirit that can come across as like arrogant and just hard to really pin down of like, okay, like you're a playboy, you can't be trusted, which is why I think Cairo's even more guarded towards him. And so yeah, just at their chemistry when they finally meet in person the very first time to have that conversation just about everything, their chemistry, even though they can't really like touch and interact too much, right? They're still social distancing, they're still wearing masks. Truly one of the best scenes because they're like frolicking around this park and like they're just having fun. And it's like a reminder that their chemistry transcends their circumstance and their situation. And again, props to these actors for just like taking it to another level that you don't feel like it's doing something it shouldn't. And it really is showing you real life and what people really went through and how they were
And
able
are
to like
still going through.
yeah, and how they were able to like kind of work through their circumstance to find joy and happiness.
I think I love that scene when they first meet as well, because or that whole series of scenes, because there really is this moment where it just like there's a magic moment. And I think it's so interesting to me because I bought into their chemistry together before that moment.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that moment, that sort of like magic moment where they like go, like meet in the middle of the crosswalk and they sort of like lock eyes for the first time and like
Yeah.
hold hands for the first time and like and there's this moment where Cairo like puts his hand up to like stop Gavriel from like coming all the way in, because
Mm-hmm.
we've all, and like it's twofold, or at least me as a viewer, I got that as like a twofold reaction, because like number one, we have all been so trained in the past year and a half, 2 years, to year and a half, to naturally social distance from each other. Like
Right.
in the grocery store, you stop and you leave, 4 to 6 feet just
Yeah.
naturally. Even though like most of those requirements in the United States have been relaxed, although they are starting to come back into play.
Right.
Um, but like, so there's that sort of natural, I think it's like a very interesting thing to watch, because it's like, oh yeah, like I get that, where you just sort of now, because we've all been trained, we've trained ourselves to do this for a year and a half, physically distance ourselves from other people now. And so there was that. And then there was also this like, the twofold part of it was that like it is very true to Cairo's character, because it's almost like a physical way to continue to be like guarded, right?
Totally.
To like not let Gavriel get too close. So it's like that moment is so interesting to me to watch.
Yep.
And then also though, like you see when they realize that like, no, it's real. I had already bought into their chemistry together. I like had already bought it.
Yeah.
But their in-person chemistry is very different than their online chemistry, which is so true to life. And not for us, I will say. But this is what basically what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
100%.
But for a lot of us, like your in-person chemistry, even with like coworkers, right? Like even with people that you've been Zooming with for a year and a half, is different than it is. Like it's different when you're Zooming than it is when you're like in the office together. And so like every relationship is a little bit different. And with them, they still have good chemistry, but it's a different kind of chemistry when they're together in person. And it just makes this performance so layered.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm obsessed, obviously.
I also think it's challenging for Cairo because he's definitely somebody that like uses his like looks and his body to kind of get what he wants.
Gavriel.
Gabriel. And
I was
so
like,
sorry, Gabriel. Yeah. And so you see the challenge of him trying to be honest and explain things, because there are moments where like he kind of gets himself in trouble, or he gets in trouble for whatever reason, because, you know, other side characters come into play. Lots of other side characters come into play, which we'll get to in a second. But he has relied on kind of his like fun personality and his looks and all that stuff, and suddenly he like can't rely on that anymore, because you notice in that meeting that like he tries to become more physical and Cairo's like still keeping him at a distance. And I think it challenges him and makes it like more dynamic and interesting and grows him as a character. Like you see his growth over this series, where he's like more than just fun and playful, and he does have to like talk about things and work through things and do all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I props to all of the plot, all of the character, these two lead actors. It's so fun.
Kahoy is like an interesting experience for me. Not even a person. He is an experience.
I'd say that's accurate.
And so Kahoy is like has been a very interesting experience for me as a viewer, because so we talked a little bit about how everyone kind of has a preference. Like you either like Cairo or you like Gavriel, you like them together, but you're never like, they are never on the same level for you. For me, it's Cairo. I love Cairo. I think Elijah's adorable. I am fully on board for Cairo / Elijah Conlas. Like, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
And Gavriel, you know, you said you didn't really vibe with Cairo at first. You more vibed with Gavriel.
Yeah.
I did not vibe with Gavriel at all. I had the exact same experience that I feel like Cairo had, where I was like, I don't trust you. Yeah. I was like, this is sus. I had like that same experience. And so honestly, Gavriel like kind of annoyed me for, I would say, like good like first half of the show.
Yeah.
Because I just like, I had the exact same sort of gut reaction as Cairo has to him, which is like, this is sus. I don't know if I can trust you. Like, I don't understand. But I gotta say, I have since watched Kahoy, like the actor, doing other things and doing different things.
Yeah.
And like, mad props to Kahoy because he does have like a fun personality. If you watch, like, he has a YouTube channel that I highly recommend
He's so
watching.
talented.
And he has like done a few other things. And so I would say he has personality similarities to Gabriel, but he is just as a person, Kahoy is like very interesting to watch. And I like him. I like this person. Like, I like his public persona. I like Kahoy. Yeah. And like, as a person, like, we could be friends. Like, I would be friends with him. Which really, what I'm getting at is, we have gushed over like what a great actor Elijah is and how much depth he brought to that character. But I think that because Gabriel is almost like, his character just naturally doesn't have as much depth to it because a lot of the focus is on Cairo and what Cairo is going through.
Right.
That Kahoy, for him to be able to take that character and give it as much depth as it has and elicit such strong reactions from people,
right,
is actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, I would strongly agree. Their chemistry is also really interesting to see behind the scenes, where I almost think it's like a nervous energy that they have. Like, watching interviews that they do, their photo shoots are excellent. Highly suggest you go look at their photo shoots that they did to promote the movie. I think it was, they recreated a bunch of not classic, because that would make us so old. But
well, there was like La La Land. That's not like a
yes. Movies of the last like 2 decades, like popular movies of the last 2 decades. But they recreate those, and they're so good, especially The Notebook. I think that's like one of my favorite ones. But they do these interviews with these photo shoots that they put online, and their energy is so funny to watch because, like, they didn't film this show in person. I think
besides the like 2 scenes, right?
Right. And I think all of their workshop stuff was also online. So they had similar character development. So like you were saying, their in-person dynamic is so different than what their on-screen one is. And it is just, or what their, like, I guess, remote chemistry is. So it's fun to watch, similar to other ships, where what you see as characters, as actors on screen in the show, gives you something totally different than what you see behind the scenes or extra content that they show. That's just, again, so interesting to watch.
Yeah, you know what they remind me of? They remind me of like early days Yin War, like when Yin War were promoting at the very, very beginning for Love Mechanics. It reminds me a lot of that, because the thing about all of our other ships, everybody's all other ships, is that they get the opportunity to go do things like, for example, Yin War like went and got ice cream together and like hung out, just sort of, they had the opportunity to be in social settings with each other that Elijah and Kahoy did not have because of the situation that we all find ourselves in at this very moment.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's like we are getting to watch this ship develop like in real time, which is just so interesting.
Okay, enough gushing about Kahoy and Elijah. Let's talk side characters, because these side characters, there's only really 3 that play a huge role, but they play a huge role. So we're first introduced to Pearl as Gavriel's ex-girlfriend, current roommate, best friend. Like, she
GF is like, when you first see her, you're like, if you are like me, versus I'm sure Beth Ann, you gave him the benefit of the doubt. I didn't. I immediately was like, how dare you, Gabriel? I knew it. I had the exact same gut reaction as Cairo.
That's so funny. I gave him the benefit of the doubt because
I knew you would.
I have been in those situations and I'm like, no. So she's such an interesting character because at first, like, yes, she has moments where she can be very annoying and you're like, girl, you are just next level. And she puts herself in the middle a lot, and that can lend itself either way, where it's like, okay, why are you still here? Or, go away.
Honestly, Pearl, I don't know that wasn't what annoyed me with Pearl.
Mhm.
Because here's the thing. Pearl putting herself in the middle and like kind of acting as she calls herself a referee multiple times.
Yeah.
Acting as that referee. To be completely honest with you, I was like, hell yeah, go girl, because that is the number one thing that all of us as viewers wish we could do.
Yeah.
How many times have you watched BL boys get into stupid arguments and you're like,
Totally.
just talk about it. Like,
Right.
this happens all the time. And
Yeah.
as a viewer, you wish that you could jump into the screen and be like, now kiss, right?
Yeah.
Like you wish you could do that.
Accurate.
Pearl does what you wish you could do. Like, Pearl is us.
True.
So I actually love that about Pearl. What I don't like about Pearl, damn, sometimes she annoys me. Like some of her like speech patterns and the things that she like screams about. I'm like, we don't always need to be screaming. Coming from somebody who's almost always screaming, I'm like, we don't need to be screaming.
Ayla's
also,
clearly projecting.
Listen, I do scream a lot. But now I know how annoying that is. See, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe Pearl has taught me something about myself.
As the
Probably
sound editor
not.
for this podcast, I can attest to that.
Listen, I just live my life every day trying to walk in the footsteps of Off Jump Pole.
I mean, those are solid shoes to fill. Yeah, but I will say Pearl, I came around to Pearl. She's like a fun, once she kind of was removed as like the weird third wheel for them and became just like their friend. I liked her dynamic. And then they kind of give her development and she has her own life, which is nice. But she's a fun character to throw in the mix. So then we're introduced to Terrence, right? Terrence is Gavriel's ex-boyfriend who
Listen,
Terrence.
from the beginning, okay?
Yes.
I actually had the opposite reaction. Actually, I went through the same journey as Cairo with Terrence, where at first I was like, I literally said this to you, like I could find the text message when I was watching it. And at first I was like, I understand we're supposed to not like him, but I think he's actually so reasonable.
Yes.
And I was like, at least he's being straightforward.
Right. But too little too late, bro.
And then he like did his like weird manipulation thing that he did. And I was like, but here's my thing with Terrence. I never actually got like super mad at him about it. So that's where my departure with like Cairo and my reaction happened. And that's when I started relating more to Gavriel, is because I was like, listen, he's clearly going through something. And also, like, who of us would not try and get Kahoy back? Like, if we were in that situation, like, let those of us with no fault throw the first stone is all I'm saying. But honestly, I liked Terrence. I still like Terrence. I mean, there were a couple times when he was like, when he first was talking to Cairo and he was like, so are you Gav's new guy? I was like, I literally screamed at the TV. I was like, wouldn't you like to know? Like, I was screaming at my TV. I was like, tell him nothing. I like Terrence.
Yeah, but I hate that character trait where you don't really know this other person and then suddenly they're like chatting with this person that you had feelings for or that you're close with, and then they play that like nosy third wheel again where it's like you don't know this boy, like you definitely have ulterior motives for messaging Cairo, and you're like, nope, not cool, bro.
But I feel like he was just going through something. And then he did eventually see the error in his ways and like genuinely apologized and genuinely tried to be helpful. And like, I don't know, like Terrence is cute too. So like that helps. Obviously, looks do not excuse all manner of bad behavior. But at the same time, Kyle Valino's just cute. What are you going to do about it? And then on the other hand, like Terrence had true like character growth and development.
He did.
So I was like, yeah, okay. Like I like Terrence. I can't help it. I know he's a bad guy and we don't like him, but I like him.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing him in season 2 and in the movie. But also you have Wesley as almost as Terrence's counterpart in Cairo's life, where
Wesley was the one I didn't like. Wesley was the one where I was like, no.
I had that same reaction, except I think Wesley is super cute. And so I was like, I mean, I forgive you, but also if you have a whole ass Cairo in front of you, too little too late, bro. Like you should have jumped on that.
Like, no, I was like,
ago.
Go away. I was like, also, I just thought he was disrespectful because, like, okay, here's the difference. Here's the difference.
He's definitely playing that.
I will defend Terrence until I die.
He definitely is playing that, like, I'm innocent, I'm his best friend, but also I have feelings and I haven't told him, and now I want to tell him.
Terrence at least was like straightforward, and as soon as he caught wind of like maybe Gabriel is moving on, like I'm gonna step in and I'm gonna try and get him back, and like he at least was like throwing himself in the mix, but at least we knew what he was doing and he knew what he was doing, and he was straightforward about it. He's like, yeah, I was trying to break you up. He's like, yeah, I wanted you back. Like, I still have feelings for you.
Yeah.
At least he was honest about his intentions. Wesley came in. Oh, and also when all of this went down, I would like to point out that Cairo and Gabriel were not officially dating yet. So there's that. They were just like talking.
Yes. They were fun friends.
Fun friends. But when Wesley came into the mix, they were dating, and they were very clearly dating. And Wesley didn't throw himself into the mix until after Cairo had a boyfriend. And then he just started acting very disrespectfully. He was like using like a cute, playful like nickname that he knew bothered Cairo's boyfriend. Like he knew that bothered him, and I'm sorry, but that's disrespectful.
Totally.
Like that would be like it's just disrespectful, number one. And then he was being disrespectful and tried to like downplay his behavior and tried to be like, no, it's all innocent, when it clearly was not innocent. Like at least when Terrence got called out, he was like, you got me on that one, boys. Like at least he fully was like, all right. Wesley continued this like little innocent, like I'm a sweet friend and I'm trying to be helpful, when really it was very clear that what he was doing was implanting himself into the mix so that when Cairo moved, he would like break them up. Like that was the intention. I could tell it was the intention. Totally. I did not appreciate it even a little bit.
Yeah, Terrence and Wesley's characters play very similar roles, but yeah, I can see where you would very much come out of it disliking Wesley more because he wasn't honest. He wasn't saying what he meant. He was definitely playing this I'm your best friend and I'm trying to do what's best for you, but you're really trying to do what's best for Wesley, and that ain't gonna fly. Not cool,
with
bro.
Me. Not with me. Because Cairo is definitely like one of those like must protect kind of boys, which is so interesting to me having him paired with Kahoy, because Kahoy is definitely one of those like
he can take care of himself.
He does not need protecting.
No.
And he like is consistently like being half naked on the internet. Like he's clearly fine.
Yes.
But Elijah, even like outside of Cairo, the character is like we must protect the baby kind of situation.
No disrespect.
And so, no, it's like a good thing.
It's like a puppy.
Yeah, like must protect. And so, like, yeah, when Wesley comes in and is like, I felt like emotionally taking advantage of Cairo. I was like, no, like. Not in my house.
Yeah, so I am interested to see how they develop their relationship. What Terrence and Wesley, it's shown now that they're going to be together in the movie.
And everyone who has watched the movie is just laughing at us. I don't even want to talk about this because I missed the movie and I have been so, because there's only one US showing, okay, and I missed it, and I just like
I also really love sleep, and it's hard to get up that early.
No, I just am stupid is what happened to me. Like, I would have woken up.
Yeah.
Because that's how into Gameboys I am. I would have woken up. I just am stupid and missed it. And I'm so genuinely upset about not being able to watch the movie. Like, I might have a mental breakdown on this episode. And so everyone who has watched the movie, just if you're listening to this and you know so much more than we do, don't spoil it for me. Don't spoil it for me, because I do really like, I'm hoping eventually I'll get another chance to watch it.
Yeah.
I am so outrageously upset. Idea First Company, if you're listening to this, like, help a brother out. Like, add it, like, let me, I will pay the money and I will like wake up at the time. Just like, give me another shot, man.
I know. I feel like they will have to continue to release it. They're still
they're Philippine showings.
They're Philippine showings. Because this is on Netflix, I also wonder if after a given amount of time they'll release it on Netflix. They're just kind of giving it a buffer. Like,
I don't care where they release it. I will pay for it if it's like a Vimeo situation, like with It's and I Promise You the Moon. Like, just take my money. I will give you my money. Just let me see the thing.
Absolutely.
Especially because I keep having to see, this is like a friggin' like tsunami on my Explore feed and my For You page, my TikTok For You page, is I keep over and over and over again having to see the scene from the trailer where it's like, let's give them a show.
They know what the people want.
I am 100% scandalized by that. And I also understand that there's like some sort of triangle situation with Achilles and Terrence and Wesley. And I very much want to see that, which was like, so that was originally set up in Gameboys Alt,
right?
Which, if you watched on Netflix, was the 13th episode. And is like, I really like that they titled it Gameboys Alt, because like the real title should have been Gameboys After Dark. Like, truly. But they set that up, and like, from what I understand, that does come into play in the movie. I'm just dying to see this movie. It's killing me.
Interesting.
I think about it every night before I go to sleep, and then I cry myself to sleep.
Thinking about Yin War.
I was gonna say, just kidding. I cry myself to sleep for other reasons.
I also have heard that like there's going to be a second season, but I don't know how it relates to the movie. Like,
kind of how is the movie the second season that people are talking about? What's the tea?
I know.
If you know, please tell us.
Because you know how a lot of these shows do a movie and a series. So like Together did a movie version of the series with like, I think, some extra things.
And you get that a lot in Korean BLs as well, right? Like, they will make the series into a movie, like because all of the episodes in the Korean BLs are so short that they just essentially edit them all together and add some extra scenes, and then you watch it as a movie.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's what they're going to do, and maybe that's what'll get the Netflix release.
Oh, like they're going to take the movie and chop it into a second series?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I'm into it.
I still want to watch it all together, though. Just let me watch the movie. Give me another chance.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. I will say, as someone who watches these kinds of things, I will then, if I really love an actor, which I fully and have totally fallen in love with Elijah Canlis, I will then go find their other stuff. And Elijah was in a movie that's available on Netflix that like won like these big awards in New York City at these film festivals. And it is truly an incredible movie. Highly recommend it. It's called oh gosh, of course I'm like not gonna remember the name.
Oh God,
what's the name of the movie?
It's your one shot. It's your one opportunity.
It's his name.
It's your one shot, your one opportunity. What are you doing?
Pull it up. Hurry fast. Elijah Canlis.
Is it Khalil 15?
Yes, Khalil, age 15. It is an amazing movie. Amazing. I'm telling you. Go watch it now. It's on Netflix.
My recommendation is to go watch all of Kahoy's YouTube videos. Like, the weird thing for me is, like, you know how you said, like, you liked Gavril better as a character, but you have, like, latched onto Elijah as an actor.
Yes.
I like Cairo better as a character, but I have latched onto Kahoy as an actor.
That's
so we
so
have,
funny.
like opposite experiences with this,
Love
as
that
per
for us.
usual with us.
Yeah.
Love this journey for us.
That's what makes us stronger.
So yeah, I recommend all of Kahoy's stuff just because, like,
he's doing so much
Kahoy's a whole experience. He is not just a person, he's a whole experience.
I would highly agree. Okay, well, thanks again for joining us on this series Sundays. This is Let's Talk BL. We'll see you next time.